Americans, 'tis I, the Rumpled One. July 4th, 2012. I downloaded a PDF version of the Declaration of Independence and the U.S. Constitution, and I read them. I've read them before. It's not the first time I've read these documents. But I think we should start a tradition that every year on July 4th, you read these documents. It doesn't take a long time. And if you have a family, gather them around the table and read them. If you have friends, neighbors, gather them. Read these documents. Take a moment, a few moments. Ponder those words. Think about the conditions back then. Compare them to the conditions today. If you read the Declaration of Independence, there's a whole list of injustices that the king was putting on the American people. And if you read those, you can see history's repeating itself. When you look at what the President and the Congress and the Senate has done, the layers of bureaucracy that they've created, the laws that they have passed, and the taxes that they've put upon us would probably eclipse that list that the king did back in the 1700s. How did this happen? Once again, most people don't want to talk about politics. Well, you know what? On Independence Day, I think that should be a day that all discuss politics. What do you think? You think that's a good idea? What better day to discuss politics than Independence Day? Can you think of a better day? If you're just going to pick one day, I mean, they'll play fireworks tonight all over the country, but what are people celebrating? Is it because they don't have to go to work today? They can barbecue, drink some beer, wine, hard liquor. But in some places, it's illegal to have fireworks. In some cases, it might make sense, like Colorado, where their place is burning up, or in other states where it could be a fire hazard. You might want to tone them down. I can understand that. But other places, just because somebody says no fireworks, no firecrackers on Independence Day, of all days? Independent from what, I ask? I've been asking that question for decades. Why are you celebrating? Look at your paycheck. Look at your gross versus your net. What's wrong with that picture? Why is there a difference? Go to the store in most states. You go to that dollar menu and the lady's going to tell you $1.06 or $1.07 or $1.08 or $1.09 or $1.10 when you go to checkout. What's wrong with that picture, America? You're just sitting back and taking it, and taking it, and taking it some more. Yeah, we make videos and we get upset about it. We rant. We discuss and debate, sometimes civilized and sometimes not so civilized. But back then, there was one issue and one issue alone that united the country. Liberty and freedom. It was Americans. You know, now we talk about diversity, divide, male versus female, the races, black, white, red, yellow, you know, origin, Europeans, Mexicans, Dominicans, Cubans, all this diversity. And you talk about, you know, regular marriage, gay marriage, all these issues, just dividing people, cutting us up, making us into statistics, demographics, you know, the African American vote for Obama, the Muslim vote for Obama. You know, some people get a little upset about that. It's just divide and conquer. And that's what they've done. And the more we fall for these things, the less freedom and liberty we will have. It's just that simple. I mean, look at the shore. You step foot on that shore, you're born on this land. What they say now, a baby born owes $50,000. When it takes its first breath, it's $50,000 in debt to the government. That's what its share of this government burden is. What's wrong with that picture, America? What is wrong with that picture? Congress passes a health care bill that they don't have to abide by, but we do. What's wrong with that picture? Until we the people focus on that one issue of liberty and freedom, we'll never be free. Never. Do people care? Do people really care? I ask you. What is it important to them? So long as they have the illusion of freedom and they're plugged into the matrix, just like in the Matrix, they will fight to the death to defend the system that enslaves them. What's it going to take, America? What's it going to take to wake you up from the hypocrisy? History has a way of repeating itself. You can't believe it can happen here? Why not? You saw what happened to the Occupy movement. It was crushed. Crushed. And they divided us once again. The 1%, the 99%. You know, these people living in tents on public lands, cops pepper spraying old ladies, beating them with batons. This happened in America. That wasn't China, that was America. But of course, these people were breaking laws by pitching a tent in a public space. Who owns that space? Oh, that's government? But who's the government? Isn't that we the people? So we the people don't have a right to be on these lands. Of course, they can bring up arguments about, well, they'll mess it up, they'll make it dirty, they'll defecate, they'll urinate, you know, they'll litter. But what about the way the government is defecating on the United States Constitution? That's the real defecation. But once again, divide and conquer. Liberty and freedom, my fellow Americans. That's the only issue. It's the only issue that can unite us. But then again, It may never unite us because we don't know what freedom is. We've never lived it. If you're watching this video, you've never lived a free day in your life. You've always been under the rule of the government, the tyrants. And they are tyrants, every last one of them. The problem is you might know your congressman or senator, you might think they're a great person, but they're tyrants by their deeds. The mere fact that they pass laws for you and me that they don't have to abide by, that does not apply to them, that's an act of tyranny. If you don't believe me, look it up. Think about it. Ponder it. It's not hard to come to that conclusion. But maybe it's not important to you. You've got other things to do. Go to work, pay your bills, do your chores, raise your family. That's what's important to you, most likely. Some of these other things, you don't really worry about it because you don't really feel the effects because you've become comfortably numb. But the next time you go to the cash register and they charge you a sales tax, you think about my words. Next time you see your paycheck and you look at the net and the gross and you see the big difference, you think about my words. And maybe one day you'll decide to take action and do something about it. Maybe not. As Harry Brown said, don't confront the government. Don't join a group. Just do what you want, and you can find your own personal freedom in this unfree world. To some extent. Avoid the government. Keep a low profile. Don't advertise what you're doing. Nobody needs to know. Keep it to yourself. Keep it to your family. But on this July 4th, 2012, I'm not lighting any fireworks. I'm not celebrating. Because we're not independent. Wake up, America. Smell the hypocrisy.